preaching the warnings to those for whom it applies, while also encouraging and comforting those who are truly his to look to the faith like his brothers in every respect, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in the service of God, to make propitiation for the sins of his people. For because he himself has suffered when he tempted, he is able to help those who are tempted. He's pointing them, you have help here. That theme just picks up in verse 1 of chapter 3. Look at verse 1. Therefore, holy brothers, you who share in a heavenly calling, consider Jesus, the apostle and high priest of our confession, who was faithful, draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. So keep this in mind, brethren, as we go through these warning passages about the very real risk of apostasy, the very real risk of falling away. As the warnings evoke the spiritual weaknesses in our own faith, as we examine ourselves and find ourselves lacking, may it serve to drive us to the merciful high priest who's acquainted with every kind of temptation. Every temptation that faces us, not the least of which the temptation to walk away, the temptation to forsake the faith. Listen, if Jesus was tempted in every way as we are, you can be sure that he was tempted to forsake God, but he never did. And he strengthens us in the midst of those temptations as well. This fact, the faithfulness of Jesus, and the fact that he's greater than Moses, is vital to keep in mind as we enter into these strong exhortations of chapters 3 and 4. And again, I'll be reminding of you that often, while seeking not to soften the import of the warnings, at the same time, share the encouragements, remind you of the context. Let's look at the text in verse 1 of chapter 3. Therefore, holy brothers, you who share in a heavenly calling, consider Jesus. The text begins with therefore. You always like, what is it there for? Therefore, since Jesus has conquered the fear of death, everything at the end of chapter 2 that we spoke about last time, I realize that goes back 3 weeks, but remember the topic was how Jesus overcame fear of death. Jesus is the propitiation, that is, he's the wrath-absorbing substitute, taking upon himself the punishment that we deserve. We are therefore what? Called holy brothers. Holy brothers also picks up from chapter 2, where Jesus is identified as both the sanctifier, holy, makes us holy, and our what? Brother. So he picks right up on chapter 2 and calls us holy brothers. We're holy brothers and sisters. We're made holy brothers and sisters by the sacrifice and what we share in the heavenly calling. Therefore, holy brothers, you who share in heavenly calling, what? Consider Jesus. Consider Jesus. Specifically as what? Verse 1 continues. Consider Jesus, the apostle and high priest of our confession, who was faithful to him